Okay, so in order to solve, you're going to have to factor. And you know that you have to solve because there's an equal sign. Factoring doesn't have an equal sign, but solving will. And there's usually solving will have a 0 at the end. And so that we're going to just kind of talk about that. So let's do example 1. So we have 2x squared plus 7x plus 3 equals 0. Now, this looks like one of our factoring problems we did last week. So what we're going to do is we're going to factor it just like we would last week. So when we go to factor it, what's the first thing I ask you? Identify A, B, and C. So what is A? What is B? What is C? Okay, so notice we're starting off the same way. The only difference between what we did last week and what we're doing this week is that there's an equal sign. Now what are we going to do with A and C? Multiply A times C. So A is 2. C is 3, and what do you get? A times C is 6. Now we're going to list the factors of 6. What are the factors of 6? Okay. Now, I want to know which ones add up to which letter. Do I want them to add up to A? Do I want them to add up to B? Or do I want them to add up to C? Add up to B. So which pair adds up to B? 1 and 6. Okay. So now I've got the two pairs. So I'm going to rewrite this. 2x squared stays the same. But I'm going to rewrite B with 1 and 6. So that becomes plus 1x. You guys, you don't have to put the 1 in front, but let's put the 1 in front. I think that will help. Plus 6x plus 3 equals 0. So notice I just replaced 7 with the 1 and the 6. Now, what am I going to do? Group them. So I'm going to group 2x squared and 1x, and I'm going to group the positive 6x plus 3. And I'm going to put that equal sign, equals 0. Now you guys remember, I grouped the addition symbol with the 6, so it tells me I need to pull out something positive out of here. Okay, so we're going to look at what these two have in common. Remember, if you see a number they have in common, we take that out. If they have a variable in common, we take that out. So do they have any numbers in common? Well, they have a 1, so do you want to pull out the 1? We don't have to, but you can. Do they have a variable in common? What variable do they have in common? So you guys, it's like you took that, it's like you're taking an x away, okay? So you had 2 x's, now you have 1. You took 1 x away, so you only have 1. Now now we're going to look at 6x and 3. When you see numbers, does 3 go into 6? Then that means you're going to put 3 on the outside, and it's a positive 3 because that 6 is positive. And then what's left over? What 6 divided by 3 is? And then 3 divided by 3 is? Now, what is my on my quiz, what would my final answer be? Okay. Times x plus 3. Remember, you guys, this x goes here, this plus 3 goes here. Now, last week we would have been done, but we have an equal sign. Okay, so again, you guys, how you know you're going to go one step further is because it has an equal sign. factor it just like we did last week. But now we have this equal sign. So what we're going to do is we're going to take parenthesis number 1, and we're going to set that equal to 0. This is called the zero product property. It basically means one of these things has to be 0. So see how I took the first parenthesis, set it equal to 0? I'm going to take the second parenthesis and set it equal to 0. Again, the reason I did this is because it said equals 0. If there's an equal sign in there, this is what you're going to have to do. Okay, let's solve this. How would I solve this? Remember, the point of solving an equation is to get the variable alone. So how would I approach 2x plus 1 equals 0? How would I solve 2x plus 1 equals 0? Remember, the point of solving an equation is to get the variable by itself. Subtract 1. Now what do we do? Divide by what? So x equals negative 1 over 2. That's our first answer. Yep, because we solved this equation. Now we have this one. There's always going to be 2 answers. If there's two sets of parentheses, 2 answers. Okay, now how do we solve x plus 3 equals 0? Subtract the 3. Whoops. And that's our answer. Stop this, just let's make sure. So we factored it just like we did last week, right? Everything that we did last week, we did this week. The only thing that I added new is that there's an equal sign, and then at the very end, you take the first parenthesis and you set it equal to 0 in the second parenthesis. How you know to do this is because it's going to be an equal sign, okay?